The Tower of London is a popular tourist attraction in England that draws thousands of visitors each year. However, few people realize the dark history that took place within the walls of this fortress. Today, we will delve into the bloody history of the Tower of London and explore some of the most disturbing stories associated with this iconic landmark. The Tower of London has played a significant role in English history, serving as a royal palace, fortress, and prison. The tower was built by William the Conqueror in 1078 and has since witnessed numerous historical events like wars, rebellions, and coronations. Prisoners held at the Tower of London throughout history were subjected to harsh living conditions that often led to physical and mental deterioration. In cramped, dirty cells, prisoners were left without proper food, water, or sanitation, leading to disease and infection. Guards were known for their brutal violence and abuse of the prisoners. This, combined with the emotional toll of being held in confinement and uncertainty surrounding their fate, made life in the tower a living nightmare for many. These harsh conditions were often used as a means of extracting confessions from prisoners, and were seen as a necessary evil by those in power. The bloody tower was filled with instruments of torture, such as a device known as the rack, which was the most commonly used method of torture. Prisoners would be stretched on a frame until their joints were dislocated. The chamber where the torture took place was underground, dark, and filled with every device and instrument of human torture. The scavenger's daughter was a type of torture device made up of multiple iron rings joined together in two segments. To begin the torment, the accused was instructed to kneel and fold their body as tightly as they could. The torturer would then wrap one of the rings around the victim's feet, followed by placing their weight on the person's back until the second ring could be looped around the lower back and neck. This excruciating position could last for as long as 90 minutes, causing blood to accumulate in the lungs, resulting in a gruesome outburst of blood from the ears, nostrils, and rectum. Sometimes people were alternated between the rack and the scavenger's daughter until confessions were made. Manacles were a form of restraint that could also cause physical harm if tightened too much. These torture methods were not only cruel, but often resulted in false confessions. The Tower of London was also notorious for its use of brutal execution methods on prisoners. Decapitation was the most common method overall, with prisoners of higher status being granted the so-called dignity of the axe. However, on rare occasions, a sword was used. Hanging was another common execution method. Among the many prisoners who suffered at the Tower of London, some of the most famous include Anne Askew, Thomas More, Sir Walter Raleigh, and Guy Fawkes. Anne Askew was a privileged woman born in 1521, whose life became famous when she was accused of heresy during the turbulent times of England's religious reformation. Her refusal to conform to the Church's teachings and her support of Protestantism led to her arrest and torture in the Tower of London. When interrogators failed to secure evidence against Queen Catherine Parr and her ladies-in-waiting, they decided to try Askew on the rack. Even though they broke her bones, they could not make her reveal the names of her fellow Protestants. Her refusal to confess and her unwavering faith led to her being sentenced to death by burning. Due to her injuries, Askew had to be carried on a chair to the stake where she was chained, and the flames ignited. Despite the agonizing pain, she remained steadfast in her faith, reciting the Lord's Prayer and the 10 Commandments until she died. Her brutal execution earned her a place in history as a martyr and heroine of the English Reformation. Thomas More was born in 1478 as the eldest son of Judge John More, who intended him to be a lawyer. He received an excellent education in the best schools outside London before returning to the city to continue his studies. More's career advanced rapidly, and he served as the Lord Chancellor of England under King Henry VIII. However, he refused to acknowledge the king as the head of the Church of England. He opposed the king's divorce of Catherine of Aragon and the separation of the English Church from the papacy. Despite Henry's insistence, More remained steadfast in his beliefs and refused to compromise his principles. King Henry went out hunting while he had More beheaded on Tower Hill. On the day of his execution, More remained calm and composed, reciting the words, "I die the king's good servant, and God's first," before his death. More was known for his concept of utopia, and he is considered a saint in the Roman Catholic Church. Sir Walter Raleigh, born in 1552, was an English nobleman, writer, poet, knight, spy, and explorer. Raleigh was known for his love of voyages and exploratory adventures, and was favored by Queen Elizabeth I, who he lived with during her lifetime. However, after Elizabeth's death in 1603, Raleigh was accused of being an enemy of her successor, James. He was charged with high treason and imprisoned in the Tower of London. Raleigh spent 13 years in the Tower, until he was released in 1616 to lead an expedition to find gold in South America. However, the expedition was unsuccessful, and upon his return to England, he was accused of plotting against the monarchy. He was beheaded outside the Palace of Westminster under a sentence for treason. Guy Fawkes was a well-known member of a group of English Catholics who planned a failed attempt to blow up the Houses of Parliament in 1605. The group aimed to end the persecution of Catholics in England by killing King James, lords, and notables during a Parliament session. To carry out their plan, the conspirators smuggled barrels of gunpowder into the catacombs of Parliament, with Guy Fawkes being responsible for lighting them on November 5. However, the authorities thwarted their scheme when they arrested Fawkes while he was guarding the explosives. After being arrested, Fawkes was taken to the Tower of London where he was subjected to almocala, one of the cruelest tools of torture in the Middle Ages. This device involved the tightening of a metal ring around the head and crushing the skull until the victim either confessed or died. Fawkes was also subjected to the rack, a torture device that stretched the body until the joints dislocated. Despite the severity of his wounds, Fawkes refused to reveal the names of his co-conspirators until he was subjected to further torture. His captors broke him and he eventually confessed, leading to the execution of himself and his accomplices. Despite the failure of the gunpowder plot, Guy Fawkes remains a prominent figure in British history, with his image being used as a symbol of revolution against injustice and government oppression. These and many other prisoners endured torture and brutality at the Tower of London, adding to its dark legacy of violence and pain. Today, the tower serves as a historic landmark and tourist attraction, with visitors coming to witness the site of infamous deaths and explore the tower's dark past. Visitors can explore the fortress and its famous landmarks, including the crown jewels, the White Tower, and the medieval fortifications. While the tower's use as a prison and place of execution is no longer practiced, its history is still very much a part of its appeal to tourists. The tower's violent past has not only contributed to its allure but has also made it home to various paranormal reports, including sightings of ghosts and unexplained noises. Many visitors to the tower claim to have seen ghostly apparitions or felt a sense of unease while exploring the complex. These reports are not surprising given the tower's long history of violence, torture, and death. It is said that some of the most famous ghosts include Anne Boleyn, who was executed on the Tower Green in 1536, and the princes in the tower, two royal children who were believed to have been murdered there in the 15th century. While the existence of these ghosts cannot be proven, they add to the enduring mystique of the Tower of London as a site of both historical significance and alleged supernatural phenomena. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button and subscribe to see more content like this. If you have any future video suggestions, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a safe day.